Hello, everybody. My name is Dean Davis, and this is Multiply, the podcast that provides a word of encouragement for village church planters. My words today focus especially on VCP students who have been working for 3 or 4 years to make disciples, plant churches, and train leaders. I'm directing my thoughts today to men and women who have made several trips around the four field model, researching, praying, sowing the good seed of the gospel, making disciples, training leaders, and sending them out into new fields where the gospel is not known. First of all, let me congratulate you. Only a very small percentage of Christians have done what you have done. You have multiplied disciples, leaders, and churches. Praise the Lord. Leaders like you often begin to focus on gathering resources to strengthen their church planting and extend it to new places. This is right and good, and God has promised to supply your needs according to his riches in glory. But what kind of resources do you need the most? What do you need to continue to plant, grow, and multiply healthy churches? Some church planters think that more than anything else, they need places to meet, chairs to sit on, and a sound system to amplify their message. But you've already proven for yourself that churches can start anywhere, in a home, under a tree, in a school, or really anywhere else. Many people will agree that churches can be planted anywhere, but they believe that money to buy land, build buildings, and pay for ministry expenses such as transportation costs makes money a very important resource for church multiplication. Other people like to look at church multiplication from a more spiritual perspective. They say the most needed resource for church multiplication is prayer. They rightly say that God delights to answer the prayers of his children and that God is all powerful and full of love. These spiritual brothers and sisters tell us to devote ourselves to prayer before we start church planting. They admonish us to pray as we move through the repeated cycles of the four field model. Prayer is very important, but is it the most needed resource for church multiplication? Others say that people are the most needed resource for church multiplication. They point out that even with a nice building and a good sound system, a church is a failure without people. They agree that prayer is very important, but they remind us that people pray. If people are taught well, the more people you have, the more prayer you have. Those who think that people are the most needed resource for church multiplication don't discount the need for money, but they remember that God provides resources through people. What about you? What do you think is the most needed resource for church multiplication? Buildings, money, prayer, or people? Would you consider this question, pray about it, and discuss it with your fellow church planters? We'll discuss it more when I come to you next week with another episode of Multiply, the podcast that provides a word of encouragement for church planters.